She sent the message at 2:17 in the morning. I know the exact time, because I have looked at it every day for 8 weeks and memorized every detail the way your tongue memorizes a broken tooth. The timestamp, the words, the specific order she chose them. I have gone over it so many times it has lost its grammar and become something else, a pattern, a warning, a thing I should have acted on faster. She wrote, "Hey, I know we don't know each other, but I got your contact from Mara, and she said you used to live on Keswick Drive. I just moved into Unit 2C and something weird is going on. There's a smell I can't find, sweet, kind of rotten sweet, coming from the hallway. And at night, I know this sounds insane. It sounds like there's someone breathing on the other side of my bathroom wall, not pipes. Breathing. Slow, like someone standing very still. I haven't slept in 4 days. I'm sorry to bother you. I just need to know if I'm going crazy or if there's something I should know about this place." I was awake when it came in. I am always awake at 2 in the morning. I have not slept through a night in 3 years, not since I left that apartment. Not since I put 6 hours of desert between myself and a building on a street in Tucson that I will not drive down again for as long as I am alive. I wrote back in under a minute. I wrote, "Get out tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight. Don't look for where the smell is coming from. Don't press your ear to the wall. Don't open the access panel at the bottom of the linen closet. Pack one bag. Leave the lights on and do not go back. Please go right now." The message showed delivered. It never showed read. Her name was Rena. She was 24. Graduate student. A cat named Fig. A sister in El Paso. A way of writing, even in a frightened middle of the night message to a stranger, that was precise and careful. I found her Instagram, inactive since November 14th, a LinkedIn still listing her as enrolled. Nothing that told me she was fine. Nothing that told me she got out. I found a listing. Unit 2C, Keswick Drive. Available January 1st, freshly painted. New carpet. I want to tell you what I know about that apartment. About what lives inside it. About what it does to people who sleep on the other side of its walls. I want to tell you everything, because the only thing I have left to do is make sure as many people as possible know this story. My name is Owen Marsh. I moved into Unit 2C in July of 2019. 29 years old, new job, new city, fresh out of a 4-year relationship, completely alone in a place where I knew no one. I want you to understand the aloneness, because I think it matters, not as a reason I was targeted. I don't think it chooses. I think it waits for what arrives, the way certain things wait, without preference, without hunger, because they have never once gone without. The building was from 1973, the color of dried mustard. Metal frame windows, a pool in the courtyard always faintly green, a parking lot that smelled of hot asphalt 6 months a year. My unit had a living room, a kitchen, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a hallway. At the end of the hallway, between the bathroom and the linen closet, was an access panel. 18 inches high, 24 wide, flush to the wall. 4 flathead screws. I assumed it was for plumbing. I put blankets on the shelf above it and forgot it existed. For 3 months, I forgot. The smell started in August, faint at first. Something sweetish in the hallway, gone before I could register it. Then it returned and stayed, in that specific stretch between the bathroom door and the linen closet, with a persistence that made it impossible to ignore. Overripe. Fruit past its moment, with something underneath that was not fruit at all, something mineral and dark and warm, the suggestion of a body. The way a room retains a person's presence after they leave, before the air resets. The hallway smelled of presence. I checked for mice. I asked Frank, the building manager, a man of monosyllables who had managed that building since 1991, whether there'd been a pest issue. He looked at me with flat, patient eyes and said, "Probably the drainage. Old pipes. It'll pass." It passed. It came back. I learned to move quickly through that stretch and breathe through my mouth. In September, I stopped sleeping through the night. Not insomnia. I went to sleep normally and then surfaced in the deep middle of the night. Not from a dream, not gradually, completely awake, heart slightly elevated. And the wakefulness had a direction, a compass, needle orientation toward the wall behind my headboard. The wall my bedroom shared with the hallway. The wall on the other side of which the linen closet sat. I would lie still and face the ceiling and feel the attention coming from that wall the way you feel heat from a fire you cannot see. Specific, certain, the same wall. Every night, I told myself it was adjustment. New city, new place. I started sleeping with the lamp on. I started falling asleep to the television for the company of voices. I stopped having people over. Not by decision, but because the apartment had taken on a quality I didn't want to explain. A density, a heaviness. The sense that the air in that hallway had more resistance than air should have. My friend Carla came to stay a weekend in October. On the last morning, over coffee, she set her mug down and said, "What is wrong with your hallway?" I asked what she meant. "I don't know. I keep not wanting to walk through it." She shook her head. "Old building. Probably nothing." I asked if she'd heard anything at night. She looked at me a long moment. Then carefully, "Like what?" I said, "Never mind. Old pipes." After she left, I stood in the hallway in the long amber light and looked at the linen closet door, and the smell was there, the sweet, mineral, warm presence of it, and I went to the kitchen and stayed there until it was dark. The first time I saw it was the night of October 19th. I came home from a colleague's dinner around 11. Parked. Took the exterior staircase to the second floor. Walked the open corridor toward my unit. Fluorescent lights triggered by motion sensors every 30 feet. I reached my door and put my key in the lock. I felt it before I turned. Not vague unease. The absolute, directional certainty that something behind me was watching. The kind that bypasses rational thought entirely and goes straight to the body, straight to the animal knowledge that is older than language. I turned. The lit section of the corridor was empty, but at the far end, at the corner where it turned toward the other staircase, beyond the reach of the last motion light, in the building's deepest shadow, something was standing. Tall, taller than the proportions should have allowed at that distance. Thin, still in a way living things are not still. The stillness of something that does not need to breathe for comfort or shift its weight for balance. 2 points of reflected light where the face would be. Not eyes. Flat surfaces where eyes would be, catching the pool light from the courtyard below, glassy and without depth. Light off a doll's eyes, except the doll was 6 feet tall and absolutely motionless and looking at me with an attention that had no heat in it. No hunger, just patience. The patience of something that has been waiting a very long time and is not bothered by this at all. The motion light at the far end of the corridor clicked on. The corner was empty. I went inside, locked the door, sat on the kitchen floor with my back against the cabinet where I could see every doorway, and nothing could be behind me. Sat there until I could stand, then went to bed with every light on and lay there listening to the wall. That night the breathing was loud enough that I didn't need to hold still to hear it. Slow, pressurized, the sound of something moving a large volume of air through a passage slightly too narrow, each breath carrying a faint resistance, a texture. In, long pause. Out, longer pause. I counted breaths until I noticed my own breathing had synchronized with it. My chest rising at the same rate, and I pressed my hands flat against my ribs and breathed deliberately against the rhythm until my body was mine again. 3 days later, I found the mark on the wall. Crouching to reach the lower shelf of the linen closet, I saw it at baseboard level. A dark horizontal smear, 18 inches long, at the height of a hand pressed flat and dragged. Dark brown, tacky when I brought my face to within a foot of it. Fresh, not paint, not dirt. Something organic that had no innocent explanation on the interior wall of my own home at floor level in a place I walked past every day. I photographed it, wiped it with a damp cloth, and immediately wished I hadn't touched it. Stood in the hallway with the cloth in my hand, feeling the cold that starts in the stomach and moves outward through every limb. I ordered a screwdriver set from Amazon, arrived 2 days later. I put it in the kitchen drawer and I did not take it out. I had bought that tool specifically to open the panel. Every morning I thought about opening it. Every morning I put the thought away, with the logic of someone choosing what they are willing to know. Whatever was behind that panel had been there a long time. It had not killed me. I was running the terrible arithmetic of the unharmed. Because I was still here, I was still safe. I understand how that sounds. I understood it then. I made that choice anyway. What finally broke me was the photographs. Thursday night in November, in bed around midnight, reading on my phone. A notification, new photo added to your camera roll. I had not taken any photos that day. I opened the camera roll. 11 photographs I had not taken. Dark, low angle. Taken through a narrow gap looking outward into the hallway. I know now that gap was the space between the bottom edge of the access panel and its frame, the panel having been shifted slightly outward from behind. My bedroom door was visible in the background, slightly open, lamplight through it. The metadata said they'd been taken between 11 and 47 p.m. and 1:15 a.m. while I was in that room, reading. 8 photographs, the hallway, empty, carpet, baseboard, the bottom of the bathroom door. The silent, ordinary interior of my own home scene, from somewhere nothing should have been. In the 9th, there was a depression in the carpet, just outside the bathroom door. A compression of fibers. The print of something that had been standing there, very still, long enough to leave an impression. In the 10th, my bedroom door was open 3 inches wider than in the previous frames. I had not opened it. In the 11th, there was a hand on the bedroom door, from the outside. Fingers wrapped around the edge, reaching from the hallway into the gap. Long fingers, wrong proportions. The proportions of something that had studied what a hand looks like without fully solving what a hand is. And the door in the 11th photograph was open an inch further than in the 10th. I was in that room during all of this. I had heard nothing. Felt no draft. I had not noticed the door move. I looked at my bedroom door, 14 inches open, where it always was. I got dressed, called Carla at 1:30 a.m. 1 bag, clothes, laptop, charger. Walked out, left every light on, drove 90 minutes to Phoenix without stopping, watched the rearview mirror the entire way, though I couldn't have said what I was watching for. I had the photographs forensically examined. They were real. Metadata confirmed location and timestamp, taken with my phone's camera. My phone had been in my bedroom. The photographs came from inside the linen closet. Something had operated my phone across 90 minutes and returned it without my awareness. The examiner asked how the phone had gotten into the closet and back. I said I didn't know. He said, then there's something here I can't explain. I hired a private investigator named Driscoll to research the building's history. 3 weeks. What he found to 23 tenants in Unit 2C between 1973 and 2019. Average tenancy 14 months. 11 of the 23 left before 6 months, breaking leases, some forfeiting deposits, several leaving furniture behind. Frank had been manager since 1991. He had never flagged issues with the unit. It had never sat vacant more than 3 weeks. 4 former tenants agreed to speak. The first described a smell she couldn't locate, sweet, she said, and 3 pest companies who found nothing. The second described the sound in the wall, and the moment he understood it was made because of his listening, not despite it. It felt directed at me, he said. When I understood that, I left. The third said don't call again and hung up. The fourth was a man named Peter, lived in 2C in 2017. When Driscoll explained the call, Peter went silent a long time, then said, "Did it take pictures on the phone?" I called Peter that evening. When I said my name, he made a sound that was not a word, something releasing, something held a long time. He'd been there 4 months. Same sequency smell, sleeplessness, breathing in the wall, a figure in a corridor that was too still and too tall, a smear near the baseboard. Then photographs, 9 of them, taken through the gap at the bottom of the access panel. In the 9th, it was close to the lens, looking directly into the camera. He would not describe what it looked like. He said, "I've decided not to describe it, because describing it requires the kind of detail I've spent years building away from. What I'll tell you is that it was not an animal, not anything I have a category for. And the thing I cannot stop returning to, what I still can't get past, is that it was looking into the camera, not toward it, into it, with full understanding of what the camera was and what it would show. It knew the photograph would be found. It looked into the lens because it was looking at me, across the hours between when it took the picture and when I found it. It was looking directly at me." He said, "I think showing us is part of what it does. I think that's the moment it decides we know enough." I asked what he thought it was, what had been living behind that panel all this time. He was quiet a long time. He said, "I think it's old in a way that makes the building itself recent. I think it doesn't experience time the way we do. And I think this is where I keep arriving, no matter how many times I try to think around it. I think it doesn't feed on bodies. It feeds on awareness, on being known. Every person who wakes at 3 a.m., facing that wall. Every person who hears the breathing and understands it. Every person who finds the photographs and lies awake watching the door. That's what it consumes. Attention. The specific quality of a person who now knows what they're sharing a wall with." He paused. He said, "And I think it follows you out. Not physically, but something in you gets tuned to a frequency it operates on, and that tuning doesn't reverse. After you leave, it can still reach you on that frequency. Not powerfully. Not enough to touch you. Just enough so you never fully stop listening." I asked how he knew that. He said, "Because I still wake at 3 a.m. every night. Different city, different apartment. 3 years later, I lie still and face whatever wall I'm facing, and I feel it. The attention, the direction. Not always the same wall. It seems to have stopped needing a fixed location. It's just present, ambient, behind every surface I sleep next to." He said, "I don't think it lets go. I think leaving just changes the distance." I'm in Flagstaff now, 3 years. A house with no shared walls, pine trees out every window. I sleep with a lamp on. I wake at irregular hours and lie still and feel the directional sensation, the specific, intimate awareness of being known. And I wait until it fades, which it always does, eventually, just before the light comes. I have had the house inspected twice. Nothing in the walls. The inspector said temperature differential. Houses settle at night, completely normal. I said, "I know. Because I do. I carry the note it played in me in those months on Keswick Drive. Every wall I sleep near, the note sounds. Every room I wake in at 3 a.m. The attention is there, never the same direction twice, like something that has stopped needing a fixed position, because I am the position now. I carry it with me. That's what leaving means." Rena messaged me 8 weeks ago. Precise, careful words at 2 in the morning, 4 nights without sleep. I wrote back in under a minute. The message showed delivered and nothing more. I have looked for her everywhere a person can be found. I found silence, and a new listing, and fresh paint, and new carpet in Unit 2C, available January 1st. Somebody will read that listing. Somebody will carry boxes up that exterior staircase, and put their bed against the wall, and hang things in the linen closet above a panel they will not think to question. The first night the hallway will smell faintly sweet, and they will think it is the fresh paint. They will sleep. And then one night they will not sleep. They will lie still and face the wall and begin to understand, slowly, over days, the way you understand something you have been refusing to understand, that the wall is facing them back. Somewhere in Flagstaff, I will wake at 3 a.m., the way I always do, and I will feel the attention arrive, and I will think about them. The new tenant, in that room, learning to breathe through their mouth past the smell, and moving fast through the hallway section between the bathroom door and the closet. I will think, get out. Take your phone. Leave the lights on. Don't open the panel. Just go. I will think it at my wall in the dark, the way I have thought it at Reina every night for 8 weeks. And it won't matter, because nobody told me either, and I stayed.